What if I told you that you don't need a gym membership? You don't need a personal trainer. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. and destroy yourself on a treadmill to fix one of the most damaging things happening inside your body right now. What if 4 movements, so simple that you could do them while sitting at your desk, while watching TV, while standing in your kitchen, could completely change how your body processes food, how your energy feels throughout the day, how your cravings behave, and how you age from the inside out? That's not a fitness ad, that's biochemistry. And today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening inside your cells every single time you eat, and exactly what you can do about it in the simplest way possible. Let's start from the very beginning. Every single time you eat, whether it's a plate of pasta, a bowl of rice, a slice of bread, or even a piece of fruit, your body breaks that food down into glucose. Glucose enters your bloodstream. Your blood sugar goes up. This is completely normal. This is supposed to happen. The problem is not the rise. The problem is when the rise is too high, too fast, and happens too often. That's what we call a glucose spike. And glucose spikes are silently doing damage inside your body that most people don't even know is happening. When your glucose spikes too sharply after a meal, your body launches into emergency mode. Your pancreas floods your system with a hormone called insulin to deal with all that excess sugar in your bloodstream. Insulin's job is to take that glucose and store it away. In your liver, in your fat cells, wherever it can. That sudden flood of insulin causes your blood sugar to crash back down, and that crash, that dip, is what makes you feel exhausted after lunch. That's what makes you reach for another cookie at 3 p.m. That's what gives you brain fog, that irritability, that "I need something sweet right now" feeling that you can't seem to shake. The spike and the crash. The spike and the crash. This cycle repeats every single day, multiple times a day, for most people. And over time, this damages your arteries, triggers chronic inflammation, accelerates aging through a process called glycation, where excess glucose literally sticks to your proteins and breaks them down, and eventually leads to insulin resistance, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes. So what do we do about it? We interrupt the spike before it becomes a problem. And the most powerful, most direct, most underused tool we have is this: our muscles. Here's what most people don't realize. Your muscles are enormous glucose sponges. When a muscle contracts, any muscle, whether you're raising your heels off the ground, taking a walk, doing a squat, or pushing a vacuum cleaner across the floor, that muscle needs energy. Energy comes from tiny powerhouses inside your cells called mitochondria. Your mitochondria take glucose from your bloodstream and convert it into ATP, which is the fuel your muscles run on. The harder the muscle works, the more glucose it pulls from your blood. The longer it works, the more glucose it clears. This means that every single time you move your body after eating, you are actively pulling glucose out of your bloodstream before it has the chance to spike dangerously high. This is not a theory. This is basic cellular biology, and it is completely within your control. Now here's the part that changes everything. Your muscles don't need insulin to absorb glucose when they're contracting. Let me say that again because it's incredibly important. When your muscles are actively working, they absorb glucose from your bloodstream without requiring insulin to do it. This means you reduce your glucose spike and you protect your body from the damaging effects of chronically high insulin levels at the same time, just by moving your body after you eat. That's a 2-for-1 deal that no pill or supplement can replicate. And the movements don't have to be intense. They don't have to be painful. They don't have to be long. Here are 4 incredibly simple options that will actually change how you feel. The first one is so subtle that you can literally do it while sitting at a meeting and nobody will notice. It's called the calf raise, or the soleus push-up. Your calves are home to a muscle called the soleus. Most people have never heard of it, but researchers have studied it carefully and found something extraordinary. The soleus muscle is uniquely efficient at soaking up glucose from the bloodstream after a meal. It's metabolically active in a way that other muscles simply aren't. In a research study, participants performed calf raises continuously for 5 hours. Yes, 5 hours. This was a lab setting, and the results were staggering. The post-meal glucose spike dropped by 52%. Insulin levels dropped by 60%. These are enormous numbers for something as simple as bouncing your heels up and down. Now, you don't need to do 5 hours, you need to do 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes of calf raises after a meal, while sitting at your desk, while on a phone call, while watching a show, can make a meaningful difference in your glucose levels. You sit down, you put your feet flat on the floor, and you slowly raise your heels up and lower them back down. Up and down, nice and controlled. Do this for 10 minutes within about 90 minutes of finishing your meal, because 90 minutes is roughly when your glucose levels peak after eating. This is the most discreet, most accessible exercise on this entire list. Anyone can do it, anywhere. The second movement is one you've been doing your whole life, walking. It sounds too simple. It sounds like the kind of advice that gets ignored because it doesn't feel like enough. But the science is clear and consistent across dozens of studies. A systematic review and meta-analysis, which means researchers gathered and analyzed the data from many studies at once, confirmed that a single bout of walking after eating significantly reduces post-meal blood glucose levels in healthy adults. The mechanism is simple. When you walk, your legs contract, your arms swing, your core engages, your whole body works together, and all of those contracting muscles are pulling glucose out of your blood and turning it into energy. The glucose that would have spiked your blood sugar is instead being burned as fuel. 10 minutes is enough. Just 10 minutes of walking after eating. You can walk around the block. You can walk up and down your office staircase. You can put on a podcast and walk around your neighborhood. You can pace around your living room. It doesn't matter where you walk. It doesn't matter how fast. Just move your body for 10 minutes within 90 minutes of eating. When you start doing this consistently, you will notice a difference. Your energy after meals will feel steadier. That post-lunch crash will start to disappear. Your cravings in the afternoon will become quieter. That's not placebo. That's your blood sugar behaving better because your muscles are doing their job. The third option is a little more intense, but the research behind it is genuinely surprising. A study asked participants to do 10 air squats every 45 minutes throughout the day, specifically comparing this approach against 30 minutes of continuous walking after a meal, and the finding was remarkable. 10 air squats every 45 minutes was more effective at keeping glucose levels stable throughout the day than a single 30-minute walk. More effective. That challenges everything we assumed about exercise and blood sugar management. Why? Because squats recruit some of the largest muscle groups in your body, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. When those massive muscles contract, they pull enormous amounts of glucose from your bloodstream, and doing it repeatedly throughout the day, in short bursts, keeps your muscles consistently active and your glucose levels consistently in check, rather than relying on one movement window. 10 squats takes about 30 seconds. You set a timer on your phone for every 45 minutes. It goes off, you stand up, you do 10 squats, you sit back down. That's it. You don't need workout clothes, you don't need a mat, you don't need to change your shoes. 30 seconds, every 45 minutes, and you are fundamentally changing what your glucose curve looks like for the rest of the day. An air squat is simple. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Lower yourself down as if you're going to sit in a chair. Chest up, back straight, weight in your heels. Go as low as feels comfortable for your body. Then press through your heels and stand back up. That's 10 of those. 30 seconds. Every 45 minutes. Start with once or twice after a big meal. Even that makes a difference. You don't need to hit a perfect score on day one. The fourth movement is one that most people do every day without ever realizing it counts. Household chores, vacuuming, folding laundry, tidying the kitchen after dinner, wiping down counters. These are not glamorous. They are not impressive to post about, but they work. Any movement that keeps your body active after a meal, especially your arms, your legs, your core, is pulling glucose from your bloodstream and using it as fuel. A simple 15-minute session of vacuuming after a meal that would have created a large glucose spike can significantly flatten that spike. The body doesn't care that you're not in a gym. The mitochondria don't know the difference between a gym squat and bending down to pick up laundry. Muscle contraction is muscle contraction. Glucose uptake is glucose uptake. So instead of collapsing on the couch the second you finish dinner, which, let's be honest, is the default for most people, try doing one small household task. Clean the kitchen. Fold that basket of laundry that's been sitting there for 3 days. Wipe down the bathroom sink. Do something that gets you moving for 15 minutes. You'll finish the chore, your house will be cleaner, and your glucose levels will be better. That's a win in every direction. Now let's talk about why all four of these matter beyond just feeling better after lunch. The long-term picture is the most important part. Every time your glucose spikes sharply, your body releases insulin to manage it. Every time, day after day, meal after meal. Over months and years, your cells start to become desensitized to insulin because they've seen so much of it. This is insulin resistance. It's the precursor to prediabetes. It's one of the driving forces behind weight gain, fatigue, hormonal imbalance, cognitive decline, and accelerated aging. Reducing your glucose spikes consistently, day after day, is one of the most powerful things you can do to prevent these outcomes. And what makes these 4 exercises so valuable is that they reduce your glucose spike without increasing your insulin levels. Because your muscles absorb glucose independently of insulin when they're contracting, so you're getting the benefit of lower blood sugar without the cost of flooding your system with even more insulin. That's the key. That's what makes movement after meals different from, say, taking medication that forces glucose down. Those approaches often work by stimulating more insulin. Movement works by bypassing insulin entirely and using your muscles as the glucose disposal system they were always designed to be. You don't have to do all 4. You don't have to be perfect. Pick one. Start today. Pick the one that fits most naturally into your life right now. If you sit at a desk all day, start with calf raises. If you have 10 minutes after lunch, start with a walk. If you work from home and you've got a timer you can set, try the air squats. If you eat dinner and the kitchen needs cleaning anyway, use that as your movement window. Start with one, make it a habit, let it become automatic, then add another. The most powerful health changes are not the ones that require you to overhaul your entire life overnight. They are the ones you actually do, consistently, on ordinary days. The calf raise under your desk on a Tuesday afternoon, the 10-minute walk after a meal on a Wednesday, the 10 air squats before you sit back down on a Thursday. These small moments compound into something enormous over time. Your glucose levels stabilize, your energy becomes steadier, your cravings quiet down, your inflammation decreases, your insulin sensitivity improves. Your body starts aging more slowly at the cellular level. This is not complicated. Your body was built to move. Your muscles were designed to use glucose as fuel. You just have to give them the opportunity to do their job. So the next time you finish a meal, whether it's a big bowl of rice, a plate of pasta, a sandwich, or anything that's high in carbs and sugar, remember that the next 90 minutes are a window where you can intervene, where you can use your body as the most sophisticated glucose management tool that exists. No device required, no prescription required, no gym required. Just you, your muscles, and the understanding of what's actually happening inside your cells. If this changed how you think about movement and blood sugar, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell me which of the 4 exercises you're going to start with today. I genuinely want to know. And if this kind of science speaks to you, hit like so more people can find it. See you in the next one.